Okay, so those of you new to the Browning Buckmark, what we're going to do is we're going to clear this firearm now. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the pistol and make sure that our finger is not on the trigger. And if you look at this side, see how my finger is? You're going to keep your finger like that, muzzle pointed in a safe direction. I have a brick wall over there, so it's not going to go through any walls if something should happen. So be aware of your target, what's beyond it. That's where that comes from. So what we're going to do is the very first thing you do is you remove the source of the ammunition from the firearm. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll rack the slide first, and that's actually the wrong way to do it. You want to remove the source of the ammunition from the firearm first. Then what you want to do is you want to rack the slide. And what we're going to do for that is we have to take it off safety. It's on safe right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this back, take your thumb, flip it up here, and the slide stop holds the slide open. We're going to check the chamber, we're going to check the mag well, and I have a chamber tag that I use, which is a zip tie, and I just shove it in there like so. Okay, so this firearm has been cleared and the magazine is empty. So that's what you want to do every time you handle this. So let's assume that you had a range day. I'm not going to drop the slide because I usually like dropping a slide when there's a round in the chamber. That's not to say you can't do it, but I just prefer going like this, manually doing it. If I'm out on the range and I load a magazine, I'll probably drop the slide like that. So what we're going to do is put it on safe, which is up, put the magazine back in. There we go. So you just got off the range, same thing. You got the firearm in the box. The very first thing you're going to do, as soon as you look at it, make sure it's on safe, which it is right now in an upward position. Remove the source of the ammunition, but make sure your finger is right here. Take it off safety. Rack the slide. And push up on the slide stop there. Inspect the chamber, inspect the mag well. Chamber tag right here. Now these things have light triggers, so you have to have finger discipline with these. If you're having a new shooter, try this out. What I recommend is only one round, because what will happen is when the slide comes back and it chambers the next round, if a person is new to this firearm, they don't understand how light the trigger pull is. The trigger pull is very, very light, and it's going to go off very quickly, even if you just graze that trigger. So the very first thing you want to do is fire one round. Even if you're new to the Buckmark, I would recommend just firing one round and letting it spit out, and it'll lock to the rear like it is now. And slowly get used to the firearm. Don't do anything in a hurry. Don't draw it from a holster in a hurry or anything like that. If you are going to carry it in a holster and do draws, I recommend that you always use the safety. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the chamber tag out here, drop the slide, put it on safe. So when you're going to carry this and you're going to do drills and stuff, what I recommend is start off very slow with your drills. I have some 3-second timer sounds that you can find on my YouTube channel that can help you out. And what I want you to do with the 3-second timer is draw from your holster. And what you're going to do is you're going to flick this off as you're drawing out of your holster and then fire. So you want to practice getting used to flicking this down like a 1911. It's the same thing. So fire would be down like that, and then safe is up. So every time you do it, you want to do it like that. So if you do the drill, for instance, the tooler's drill, which is 7 yards, and you draw from a holster, and in 1.5 seconds, you want to make sure you have at least 1 or 2 shots. Start off with the 3 seconds and comfortably draw the pistol, and Do it slowly. Do it right the first time, very slow. And then as you get faster and faster, you always have to remember that you don't have to holster the weapon back fast. You might have to draw it fast, but you don't have to holster it in back fast. So I recommend when you reholster this, don't stuff it in really fast like you see some guys on the range with their weapons. There is no need at all to quickly reholster your weapon. So you might as well just reholster it very carefully, very slowly, and you make sure that it is on safe. Then when you pull it out and you're going for the target, you want to make sure you thumb it off and present the pistol to the target. So, but I also recommend that that you guys do some dummy rounds just to practice the slide. And obviously I don't have the mag in here. So what you're going to do is practice like a failure or whatever, with these dummy rounds. Just so you get used to if something should happen where the slide doesn't come back, you'll know right away to pull it immediately, and then it'll chamber another round. So what'll happen is some of them low velocity rounds that are under standard velocity, if you use them, it's not going to cycle the slide, so you're going to have to do it manually. So them fun low velocity ones, you're going to have to rack the slide yourself every time you take a shot. Okay, so now we're going to put it on fire. We're going to rack the slide. Okay, so that round's been chambered. Put it on safety. And then let's say that you're at the range and you fire a shot. Nothing happens. Okay, it's just like this. Nothing happens. What you're going to do is eject it. And you might have to wiggle it a little bit. And then you got the next round. You're ready to go. So the best thing with the Buckmark clearing malfunctions, the very best thing to do is to pull the slide back, shake it a little, and if not, you might have to drop the magazine and put in your second magazine. But anyway, you just want to practice things like that with your dummy rounds. Just practice and see what it does. Get used to the function. And on the last round, it's going to lock open like this. So if you're done shooting for the day, drop the magazine. Takes out the source of the ammunition, so you're safe. And then you're going to drop the slide. You can do it by thumb and just let it ride home, or you can do it like me. Okay. Now what we're going to do is put it on safety. And then the magazine is empty, so we can put this back in, or you can leave it out in the box or whatever. And I'm doing this on camera, so it's hard for me to see what I'm doing looking at the camera and the firearm itself. So anyway, here we go. Now, what you want to do with your ammo, if you are going to use this for defense, what you want to do is find the most reliable 22 ammo, because 22 ammo is known for the rim to not always ignite the round. So the rim fires are known for failures and stuff like that, where center fires might be more reliable. So what you want to do is find some good, decent ammo, not your bulk ammo. If you're going to carry this for defense, you want to use some really high quality ammo, like maybe your CCI standard or CCI high velocity rounds, like your mini mag or whatever. Something that's reliable and you know it's going to function. But also you want to make sure that you clean the firearm very well, because 22s, they can really build up with carbon, so you want to make sure that you clean it a lot. What happens with 22s is down in the chamber there, what happens is especially the throat gets filled up with carbon. So when a round is chambering, what will happen is you'll have so much in there that the round won't go in all the way, and it might be hanging up a little bit, so that when the firing pin hits it, it's not on a flat surface, because you've let the firearm get too dirty. So what I would do is I would clean this on a regular basis. Even if you're at the range, you should still clean it on the range if you're going through like your bulk ammo and stuff, if you're doing hundreds and hundreds of rounds, you should clean it. So if you don't clean it, you're going to get a sticky shell and it's not going to extract. And if you're carrying this for defense, you definitely want that shell to extract. You don't want any hang-ups. You want to keep it perfectly clean. You want to have the best ammo you can for this firearm, so that'll save your life. So anyway, put it back on safety. Put the mag back in. All right, so the 22 dummy rounds. I'll show you a quick view of them real close up here. And I usually don't fire the weapon, even though I could dry fire with these. I usually don't. So you notice there's no marks on the back of these because I don't do it that often. I have one of them that I use for dry firing. But the trigger is so nice on the Browning Buckmark that there's really no need to dry fire. You should practice aiming and drawing and stuff like that, and imagining pulling the trigger. You don't necessarily have to pull the trigger. You could draw the firearm out like that and go for the target. Do your draw, aim, do your draw, aim like that. So you can do something like that. You don't necessarily have to pull the trigger. These triggers are so good, and the 22 Buckmark has such little recoil that you're going to be able to hit a 3-inch target at 10 yards and 7 yards for sure, which is the self-defense distance, 7 yards more or less. But the thing is, and a 3-inch target is about the size of the human heart, and if you guys know anything about the human heart, that's what makes the blood pressure drop in a self-defense situation. If you can drop the blood pressure, then you can stop the attack. And then, of course, we all know the brain box in between the eyes and the ears. That's that narrow band up in there. But the fact of the matter is that if you're shooting this at 7 to 10 yards, I would practice on 3-inch targets where you draw quickly and fire it. Because it's still a 22, so it's a smaller caliber. But with good shot placement and a lot of discipline and a lot of practice with this, you could use it to defend yourself. Some people, all they could handle is something like a 22. So you can't make fun of them for defending themselves with a 22. Who knows? They might even not do it. They might even hate firearms because somebody told them that a 22 isn't good enough. So what you're doing is you're breaking their confidence, and you don't want to do that. Some people are weak, some people have arthritis and stuff like that, so they might defend their home with a Browning Buckmark, and I think you're perfectly fine doing that. However, I would buy a couple more magazines so that you got plenty of ammo. One magazine is good, but it's also good to have maybe one or two more. But anyway, if you read in the Bible, it talks about Samson using a jawbone, and if he can use a jawbone and protect himself, then you can protect yourself with a 22. So I wouldn't necessarily listen to all the chit-chatter online about how a 22 isn't going to do it, because for every time I found a 22 that didn't work in a defense situation, I could find just as many 9mm 45 and other calibers that didn't do the job. And the reason why that is because the 22 is so accurate. You can get shot placement so easy that its accuracy alone makes up for its lack of energy. For instance, this here with stingers, you're going to get 117 foot-pounds of energy, 120. That's the same as a 32 ACP. So with the hotter loads with 22 going like 1,300 feet per second on up, you're basically kind of shooting a 32 as far as energy. But shot placement and the ability to dump a mag into a 3-inch target, which is the size of a human heart, it's going to be a bad day for that attacker. So, and the other thing is realizing that the only time you use your firearm is when it's unavoidable danger, where you have done everything you possibly could to stop the attack by avoiding the person, and also make sure you're not the instigator, and make sure you guys practice good verbal judo. That's online here. That's for law enforcement. I've known verbal judo for over 20 years now. That's law enforcement teaching. And then also I recommend body language courses on YouTube also. So between verbal judo and body language, and also add judicial use of force by Masad Ayub. Type that in your YouTube browser. So judicial use of force, of deadly force by Masad Ayub. So watch them 3 videos, and one on body language, one on verbal judo, which is George Thompson, and the other one Masad Ayub, and educate yourself on them, because a lot of times firearm is not needed for defense because of the simple fact it's a psychological stop on the person. But if you're a decent person, you don't cause any problems, and you don't start the trouble, and you're not mouthing off at people and giving people the finger in traffic because they cut you off and stuff like that. If you're a decent citizen, the odds statistically have been proven that you are going to be able to defend yourself with a 22. It's the stupid people that like gangs and stupid people that want to start trouble and stuff. They end up getting hurt or even killed. So, but if you're a decent citizen, just minding your own business and not causing any problems, the chances of you not being able to defend yourself with a 22 are very, very rare. Statistics are amazing when you look up statistics on how many people carry a 22 or a small firearm like a 380, and the statistics that show that there's very, very, very rare times when a person had a small firearm or a small caliber where they could not defend themselves. And for every time you find a 22 where they can't defend themselves properly, you're going to find a 45, you're going to find a 9, you're going to find all that kind of stuff. Law enforcement, their guns jam and they have problems too, just like we do. They can get attacked. Situational awareness is part of defense. We have to be situational aware. We have to know what's around us, keep our eyes peeled, stay out of trouble, keep our distance, stuff like that. So we have to think about that more than anything. Situational awareness will save your life. And sometimes it's even better than a firearm because you're going to get out of that situation. Or as John Farnham said, don't go stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things. You're not going to go to a bar and start trouble and carry a firearm and then think that you're going to get in a shootout and win and stuff like that. You don't want to take any chances like that. You want to be a good citizen. You don't want to cause any trouble. And you want to abide by your morals as far as treating other people as how you would want to be treated and stuff like that, and forgiving people for being jerks once in a while. A guy bumps you in the arm in the aisle or something, big deal. Get over it. You'll be fine. So anyway, yeah, you can defend yourself with a 22. Once again, just remember it's a rimfire. So rimfires, they don't always go off. So you have to remember that. But do your malfunctions. Do your defense drills. Even if it's just a 22, I would still do defense drills with this. And if there's any competition shooters that shoot 22s, I would ask them what you could do as far as setting up some kind of drill, a defense drill, and challenges you can do with the Browning Buckmark here, even though it is just a stock, common Browning Buckmark, nothing fancy. Sights aren't fancy. It's not the elite target model, but it'll get the job done. A little over $300. So, but anyway, thanks for watching the video, you guys.